There's a problem with Izuku, Mr. Midoriya. I'd like Izuku to leave the room for a moment. A certain tired and somewhat sad voice, like his eyes, rested on the little boy who, with a huge smile, waited for the news of his new gift. Inko, go on, Izuku, we'll call you right away, okay? Izuku, yes, mommy. The little boy who was wearing an All Might costume, one of the greatest heroes of the decade, who inspired everyone with hope, managed to make the dream of being a hero remain in the smiling little boy who, although a little confused, left the room. Both parents knew what would happen on the doctor's face. The worst case scenario they thought was that Izuku had a weak and insignificant gift, something that would be horrible. That's why they got married, right? And his only achievement was in the trash? No, it wasn't either of those two cases. It was worse. Dr. Gentleman Midoriya. Izuku. Well, it's a bit difficult to say, but Izuku Midoriya is quirkless. Both parents did not expect such a terrible response, both in a state of shock. The man could not move a single muscle, he could not even blink except for the woman who brought her hands to her mouth due to the impact of the news. Several minutes passed where the doctor, somewhat concerned by the attitude of both, gave them water and some sedatives. A few moments later both had assimilated what had been said and the father of the little one was ready to speak. Hisashi, doctor, isn't it possible to do another test? Maybe. Doctor, I haven't finished yet, I couldn't continue because of what happened to you. There's more and above all there's an explanation. Do you know what a celestial restriction is? At least the father nodded to the question since he had heard it one day at work as a hero when rescuing civilians. He heard two paramedics talking but his attention was redirected to another person when he saw how someone needed help in that incident where it was that he heard the condition. On the other hand, Inko had no idea, she simply remained silent waiting for an explanation. Doctor, well, as you know, that is known almost as a myth, since there are very few, almost by the second or third generation of quirks it existed or it is rumored that someone was born with a celestial restriction. It is a rumor or rather like a tale among doctors and physicians. But it is said that that person had a gift which was incredibly powerful, but the restriction caused his body to be too weak to contain it. The extra appendage that Izuku should develop on his foot developed on the opposite side. It is just what they say happened to that guy. Hisashi, then Izuku-s. Doctor, Mr. Midoriya. The celestial restriction is a myth like I told you, no one has ever seen one like that in decades. We don't even know the nature of that condition. But I think that restriction caused you to not have a single bit of your quirk. I would recommend doing some tests. Both green-haired men nodded, trying to regain hope in their son, and just like that, they decided to leave, although not back home. After a somewhat long trip, the Midoriya family slowly parked their car in front of an agency, one of the largest in Japan. Since it was owned by the top 2 hero himself, Endeavor the Flame Hero. Walking slowly and greeting some acquaintances, Izuku sat down on one of the chairs in the place where there were also several children. Among them was an ashen-haired boy who screamed with excitement when he saw his friend. Izuku, Kachan. Katsuki, Izuku. You came. Mom said you were coming with your parents because you were going to take your quirk test. Tell me what quirk you got? Izuku, well, we came from the doctor, but honestly, I don't know what gift I have yet. Mom and Dad told me we'll talk about it tonight. Beside him were other children who had not even seen each other, but on the other side of the room were several young people between 15 to 17 years old, who were also waiting. Katsuki, look, Izuku. They already have a couple. Izuku, couple? What are you talking about, Kachan? Katsuki, didn't they tell you? Izuku, they're going to get us a partner. Although, I don't know if it's a partner to play or fight with. Izuku, wow. That sounds great. I hope I get someone really cool. From across the room, some girls who seemed to like the boys were watching and laughing at the comments of both of them who were shouting with excitement, obviously with a completely wrong idea of the situation, except for 2 girls. A 16-year-old brunette girl was sitting on one of the bands in the corner of the room. She looked upset next to her mother and another boy who had a cast on his arm and a bandage on his head with a very purple bruise on his eye. On the other hand, the girl had a band-aid on her cheek. A second one was one of the girls who was looking at both children, a blonde with long hair. She looked calm even though her eyes reflected sadness for the children. They didn't know what was about to happen. Even though she was about to go through exactly the same thing they will go through, she simply lowered her head looking away while her mother was chatting. Out of nowhere, a slam opened the door of the Endeavor office, so out came a 19-year-old girl which Izuku saw as she tried to cover her tears, walking quickly to the exit of the corridor and hiding in the corner of it. Izuku and Bakugo as well as almost everyone present remained watching, Unlike children and some teenagers, the adults looked at the girl with disgust and disgust, as if she were a weirdo. Little Izuku got off the chair and ran to the girl. Hisashi, Izuku, where are you going? Izuku, I'll be back, Dad. The girl is sad. Inko, calm down, honey, you know how he is, he always worries about anyone. Hisashi simply smiled at his wife and allowed Izuku to leave. Just before crossing the corner, a gun tip appeared and was pointing at him, which paralyzed Izuku. The purple-haired girl looked at the child with hatred for a few seconds until she realized that he was just a child. The girl simply lowered her weapon that she had in her arm, making Izuku feel even more relieved. What do you want? Go away. Izuku, are you okay? Does anything hurt? What do you care, brat? Izuku, I want to be a hero. And a hero always helps those in need. If you're feeling bad, it's my duty to help you. A hero? Do yourself a favor, will you? Don't be one. Not if you're here. The boy approached to hug the girl who was sitting hugging his legs. She opened her eyes confused by the little boy's hug. What ha? Izuku, of course I will. I'll help everyone with a smile. And I bet you'll be someone completely amazing. Whom you know? My dad is a hero. He has a really cool phrase that he taught me. Really? And what is it? A small smile appeared on the girl's lips as she wiped away her tears at the little boy's contagious spirit and joy. It seemed as if her problems were disappearing. Izuku, hey, did the world just run over you? Listen, I'm here to give you some good news. Can you see the sun and the stars? Well, they all shine because of you. Someday you'll be at the top with them. The girl laughed a little. She found the gesture the freckled man had with her tender and cute. It seemed to calm her down. She finally smiled without having to force the smile she should. She felt simply good. My name is Ka. Hisashi, Izuku. It's our turn. Hisashi arrived with the girl and little Izuku, who greeted the violet-haired girl with a quick bow. The boy was about to say something to her but was pulled by his father, who quickened his pace, carrying him in his arms and walking to the door. Izuku, my name is Izuku. Something that after that the girl would be happy to hear. She knew the name of the one who gave her a moment of happiness. On the other hand, three parents who came out of the office each approached the three girls, and even though the father of the oldest took longer because of the distance between the door and the corner of the hallway, all but among the three of them they were heard in unison. Well, I made a deal. If you take it you can follow your dream. And if not. It was the only thing that could be heard until the doors of the office closed behind Izuku, and thus he would never see any of those present again, except clearly his best friend from childhood, even though from that day on everything was going to change. Endeavor, good morning, Mr. Midoriya. What brings you here? It seems that little Izuku has already awakened his Kosei, hasn't he? Hisashi, well, Endeavor. The thing is. After what was explained, Endeavor looked like they had wasted their time, although not that much, since if the mule existence of Izuku's Kosei was disappointing, the fact of those heavenly restrictions seemed interesting to them, something that seemed more like a fantasy. On the other hand, they also wanted to test the boy. Fortunately for the Midoriyas, on Endeavor's TV where they were showing the news, they managed to see one of these, where they heard TV, and that's how. With his great winging skills he managed to win the UA Sports Festival. Endeavor watched the TV through his peephole, so he sighed. Endeavor, Mr. Midoriya, right now I can't accept Izuku just because of the rumors. He's not useful. He's just a quirkless. But I have a proposition. If Izuku gets into UA and if by some miracle he has that thing that gives you so much hope from his restriction, I don't know what. And he manages to win the sports festival of his year and I see that it's true or he really does have a gift, I'll accept him. Deal? Hisashi, deal made. Both men shook hands and left with the little boy who didn't understand much, but since his goal was to be a hero and win that festival, he was on that path, so he couldn't help but get excited. By the time the family left the office, both the blonde, the brunette, and the two-toned woman were gone. The boy looked around for the woman, but there was nothing. Kachan, we're going in now. How great. Izuku, what happened? Did they get someone for you to train with? Izuku, well. Hisashi, not yet, he has some minor problems. But that won't be very important. Izuku, yes. I hope everything goes well with you, Kachan. By the time the pale-haired boy and a girl with green hair tied in a bun had closed the doors behind him and his parents, Izuku lowered his head, a little sad but not because of the pairing, but rather because of the hero's words. It's a simple quirkles. But even without a gift, he is something very special. Izuku, Mom. Dad. Don't I have a quirk? Inko, don't worry, my Izu, of course you'll have it. We'll know what it is very soon. Hisashi, at least I hope it's useful. Despite the man's whisper, it was clear to hear him. Izuku simply lowered his head, still not assimilating what they said until that night. The night where his dreams were going to die. Or not? Hisashi, so that's what it was about. Doctor, yes, Mr. Midoriya, we finally understand Izuku's condition. His body is exceptional. As the conversation continued, a silhouette could be seen running at great speed, surpassing several cars, jumping between roofs with great precision. Doctor, Izuku doesn't really have a quirk, not at all. In 15 years, he's never shown any signs of having one, even though his body changed and we ran new tests on him. Hisashi, certainly with the studies. I never thought I'd believe it, but now. Red shoes could be seen hitting the concrete floor, causing it to crack a little. Behind the runner, a characteristic gray jacket with green stripes could be seen, and emerald green hair blowing in the wind. Doctor, Izuku's condition is now inhuman. In the end, the heavenly restrictions are real. But there is a problem. This is almost the same function as the gifts. The more his body grows, the stronger it will become. He is only 15 years old. That makes him stronger than a normal augmentation gift. But since the incident, his body has not improved. Although it is much stronger, it seems that his growth stopped abruptly with that. Hisashi, yes. And when he started to develop puberty despite having a size small, the canonical height, his body became stronger. He has muscles and everything, haha. He even became stronger than me. Something that wasn't so good at his young age. Until finally the mysterious boy who ran as if his life depended on it arrived at the entrance of one of the most famous schools and academies in the world, UA, where the best heroes of the country are forged. Deku. Come in quickly. You're about to be late for the written exam. Izuku, yes Kachan, I'm sorry for the delay, I went to leave some things at the parcel service. Dad needed me to send him his camera and some clothes. Bakugo, that doesn't matter to me. A blow hit Bakugo directly on the head, or rather a lick, delivered by a green-haired girl. Tsuyu, enough already, Cat's Karo. Stop bothering Midoriya Karo. Izuku let out a small laugh as he took both of their hands and pulled them into the academy, guiding them to where they were to take their exam. But what exam? You might ask. Well, the entrance exam that the UA takes every year. Only a few managed to get into the hero course, so the trio was excited. In the end, the test was not that difficult. The hard work of the trio along with a copy or two from the Ash were key for the three to get a high score. Izuku Midoriya, 100 100ths. Tsuyu Asui, 97 100ths. Bakugo Katsuki, 95 100ths. Izuku, wow, I'm glad I got this note, how are you guys? Bakugo, excellent as always. There's nothing less to expect from me. Tsuyu, you're the dumbest of the three. But you're still very good, Karo Karo. Izuku, and then we'll go to the practical exam. From what I see, I'm not with you. Izuku raised his exam, in which he had a small note next to it where it showed his section and participant number. Something that both Kachan and Tsuyu saw was that he was in District A and they were in C, 2 cities apart. Kachan, what a shame. You'll have to see on the board how I'll make you a mess in statistics. Izuku, of course, if you manage to reach one. Tsuyu, I'm surprised at how they've become. Before, it would be a miracle to see them like this. Kachan, well, people change. And I'm going to be a hero. I won't achieve it if I don't change my attitude. Izuku, and if you keep going like this you'll be the best. I hope I can be there when it happens. Kachan, and you will be, because we will be the best. The Ashen boy hugged Izuku by the shoulder as well as the girl as they walked ready to take the practical test. Along the way the two separated and got on the bus for their route. The boy sat in a place where he didn't have a partner next to the window. He was watching how the window began to vibrate. They were finally going to leave. He felt like someone had sat next to him, something that took him out of his thoughts and his lost gaze. Turning around to see who it was, he found a somewhat thorny hair. Obviously he didn't see it, he felt it. When the girl's hair touched him he felt several prickles which made him jump in fright. Izuku, ouch. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Izuku was watching as the girl tried to pull her hair back towards her, but when she tried to stand up a little he noticed how several spikes were stuck into the fabric of the seat. Oh no. Why does this happen? He seemed sensitive. For Izuku it would only be something normal like a small accident, but the girl's gaze showed that it had already happened a lot and it did affect him. He turned around a little and one by one he began to remove the spikes from the girl's hair. What are you doing? Izuku, Well, I'm helping you. I think you shouldn't go through this humiliation just in the entrance exam. Don't worry, he helped you. The girl just lowered her head while Izuku slowly let go of her hair and brought it to his lap, something that hurt him very little thanks to his resistance. Izuku, if you like, you can rest on my shoulder and your hair on my lap so it won't bother you. By the way, I'm Izuku Midoriya. But why you're hurting yourself? You shouldn't. Thank you very much Midoriya. How kind. He's an angel, and my name is Ibara Shiozaki. Izuku, nice to meet you Shiozaki-san, as long as you're okay I am, and I'm very resilient. Ibara, the pleasure is mine. Do you also want to enter the hero course? Izuku nods until the bus stops in front of a huge door where they begin to get off, most wasted no time stretching while Izra and Izuku separate. Ibara, may the all-merciful God accompany your soul to victory. Izuku, good luck anyway. I'll wait for you at the top. They both separated as the doors began to open, thus beginning the UA admission test. Where Izuku, being one of the fastest competing with a blue-haired boy, ran directly to two robots where both impacted almost at the same time, even though the difference in their potential was noticeable since the boy with glasses had broken the robot's Mars, leaving it disabled, but Izuku split it in half with a kick, and thus began a massacre by the green-haired one, finishing off each robot one by one, quickly going up on the statistics screen that was seen in a certain control room where more than one master was seen surprised, but behind all of them was a huge silhouette next to two small ones who were not masters, but thanks to the flames you could see well who was the biggest. Endeavor, so what? I still don't agree. I would do it better. Endeavor, remember, this is your last chance if the deal goes through. And it seems like I would make it, if it weren't for my son. Why am I not surprised? Endeavor, you only have two options, both you and her. And wasn't she already dead? I mean, she should have been if they'd put her in the shitter, and what's the other option? Endeavor, he's a 7-year-old, so I doubt they want that. Holy crap. Would you really be capable? Endeavor, not really. But if they don't, it will be a waste of time and money, and I'll look for some random Don, that's their last option. An option I'm not going to take having him. This is so humiliating. I'm going to beat him to death. Wait, look on the bright side, we'll have a servant. Endeavor, enough already. It's also good, it's about to break your record. Nothing that an enhancing quirk can't do, I did it with my body and effort. He can be a skinny guy with an augmentation quirk and that's it, he's not impressive at all. Endeavor, how do I tell them? This will be difficult. Returning to the test, we found a huge earthquake that stopped Izuku as well as everyone in the field. A huge hand hit the pavement which emerged from the ground, and from the same hole came out an entire robotic body. Each building around it collapsed, remaining only as rubble. This began to move towards where there were more students. Everyone began to run to the exit, as did Izuku, who only wanted to avoid the problem of fighting against something giant. It simply seemed useless to him since it did not even count points. He was on top of a 2-story building. Just before jumping to run, he heard a scream. Help me. Izuku came back to see and found a brunette lying down, and on top of her several pieces of rubble that prevented her from moving. Izuku simply took a run, and in one jump he reached the girl. With great ease he threw all the rubble and carried the brunette, who looked scared. Careful. Izuku looked back, seeing the foot of the enormous robot that was about to crush him. He managed to run with the girl in his arms, but the shock wave and debris that flew out before the abrupt stomp of the robot hit the boy, preventing him from falling on his foot, rolling a few meters while covering the brunette. He got up still in pain and began to run at full speed, taking only seconds to reach the door and from the speakers, the test is over. From the control room, both women were motionless. Due to the darkness of the room, their faces were not noticeable, but the tension was palpable. One could even be burned by Endeavor's flames. They simply walked away. Neither said anything until the doors closed, where Endeavor remained with the other teachers, who were uncomfortable by the attitude of both but already beginning to grade each student who participated, while on the main screen the general statistics of all the tests could be seen with the following list. 1. Izuku Midoriya. 2. Katsuki Bakugo. 3. Tenya Ida. 4. Tsuyu Asui. 5. Itsuki Kendo. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. After the test, the trio of friends finally met at the exit, happy. It seems that they were going to be accepted. Since the three of them entered the first 5 places, they were excited. Each one went to their home, leaving Izuku alone since Katsuki accompanied his girlfriend home. Minutes later, Izuku arrived home. It was certainly a sad place for him. He didn't like it at all, but what could he do? That's where he lived, right? Izuku approaches the door, taking a key out of his suitcase and opening it. Darkness was the only thing that existed in the LGSR, something that didn't surprise Izuku. He lived alone, so to speak. His parents had been distant since a certain day, sometimes abandoning Izuku for months. Thanks to Mitsuki, who lived next door and was the mother of his best friend, he didn't die of hunger when he was 10. There was a time when they were gone for almost a year on supposed business trips, a time when, thank God, they arrived the day before his birthday. A birthday that was unforgettable, not because he spent it with his parents, it was because his restriction woke up on a day when his parents weren't there. Apparently, that day they only arrived to grab a few things. He literally heard something at about 8 a.m. The time he woke up was when he heard the door slam and minutes later a car starting. That birthday was the same as any other day. He only had his breakfast, which was normal, bread and coffee. That was the only thing he used to have breakfast, of course when Katsuki's mother didn't invite him because when he went it was a feast for him. Izuku, I'm back. This turned on the light and out of nowhere as if it were a miracle both Inko and Hisashi jumped happily with a cake. Hisashi/Inko, congratulations on being admitted. Izuku, mother. Father. The boy jumped excitedly hugging his parents, despite the obvious abandonment and little care his parents showed him. They were the only family he had, they were the only people who loved him, so outside of their neglect he grew up with an obvious dependence on the attention of his loved ones. Several times both Mitsuki and Bakugo and Tsuyu used to retort to him why he lets himself be treated like that? Or why doesn't he say anything? Didn't he see that it was wrong? Vertical bar flashback vertical bar. Bakugo, hey, man. I know you don't want to get into this topic. Izuku, then let's not do it. Bakugo, but. Deku, why do you think they are good to you? Izuku, because they are, my parents love me. Bakugo, Deku. You just got dumped again. One day before your birthday. We are located on Izuku's 15th birthday, just one day later where both young people were on the shore of the lake next to a bridge, both used to go there after classes to fight or just chat, but that day Bakugo took him for a reason, to understand his thinking. Izuku, Kachan, my parents are heroes, I understand that they are busy, they are saving lives. Bakugo, Deku. My dad owns a company, he doesn't even see my mom for days because of his job, and every second he has to spend with us he takes. Midoriya, I saw your parents yesterday at a cafe. Is that saving people? Izuku, maybe you've been busy and managed to have breakfast. Kachan. You're my only family, I don't have brothers or uncles. Look, I know it bothers you but I'm happy to see you. I can't get angry for not giving me time. Who would want to be with someone like me? Bakugo, Izuku. Understand, it wasn't your fault, it wasn't anyone's fault, in fact you were just someone who had bad luck. I want to be with you, my mother and even Tsuyu have always had respect for you. We are friends. Izuku, I know, and I love it when I spend time with you, you're so kind. But my parents aren't bad, I know that if they had time they would be with me. I know that. Bakugo, I hope you're not wrong. Damn Deku, the world doesn't deserve someone like you, you're so. Izuku, yes? Bakugo, incredible. You know if you tell anyone I tell you this kind of thing it will blow up in your face. As far as Tsuyu and my parents are concerned, I'm an explosive lunatic. Izuku, honestly, I like this Bakugo more than that one, but don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Bakugo, I'm sorry Izuku. Forgive me. Izuku, I already did it, silly. You helped me, and I don't know how to repay you, but I will do it someday, okay? Bakugo, no need, I provoked him, I must have paid for it somehow. By the way, I didn't give this to you yesterday, but happy birthday Deku. The Ashen boy took out of his pocket a small package containing a phone case with an All Might pendant, a case that had only been released a few days ago. Izuku wanted it but needed time for his parents to send him money, but it was no longer necessary. Izuku, that's great. Thanks so much, Kachan. You're the best. Bakugo, I knew you wanted it, I was surprised not to see you using it and I assumed they hadn't sent it to your pantry yet. Come on, it's getting dark. Bakugo stood up from where they were sitting, extending his hand to Izuku, who happily took it and stood up with Katsuki's help. They both began their walk home. Vertical bar end of flashback vertical bar. Inko, hey Izuku. Hey, tell me if you passed the exam? Izuku, oh well, I still haven't received the admission letter, it's just. Well, it'll arrive tomorrow. The parents' faces lost their color to one of discomfort, even though they tried to hide it with a smile, but it was evident, something that alerted Izuku, making him wave his hands. Izuku, B but. I have the H highest average. I got 100 on the W written test and I'm first in the P practical test. I'm sure. Both smiled excitedly again. Izuku's heart felt calm seeing their happiness. Both Inko and Hisashi threw him a quick party where for months he was finally able to spend some time with his family. With this day it would be 3 months since his supposed work trip. Both told him how they had to do a mission in the United States. It was amazing how the stories were, even though somewhat ambiguous, very entertaining. In the end the three went to bed. Izuku hugged the two tightly with great joy even though he knew what was going to happen the next day. The sun's rays illuminated the entire city of Japan. Everyone got ready to go to work and school depending on the case. That green-haired man had gotten up somewhat discouraged, but when he opened the door he was astonished. Both Hisashi and Inko were sitting on the sofa watching TV. Izuku, why yes, they stayed. Hisashi, of course, son. We'll see your letter of acceptance as a family. It'll also be the first step toward giving you a big surprise. Inko, by the way, a few minutes ago the mail arrived and look. The woman took out an envelope where with a matchstick you could see the symbol of a U, which was from the academy where he had applied. Izuku quickly took the letter and opened it, dropping a small device that stuck to the table, and with a blinking red button it shone. Izuku crushed it. Oh, hello? Are you recording? Okay. Me. I'm All Might, the new teacher at UA Academy and the one in charge of telling you that you have just been admitted to the prestigious UA Academy, as the best in all the tests, both physical and written. So you are now part of UA. The three of them jumped with excitement and Izuku was finally able to have a hug from the two people he loves most in the world, unable to hold back tears. It was a joy to be a source of pride for his parents. Inko, okay, son. See you. We love you so much. Hisashi, I know you'll be the best of them all. Cheer up, champ. Not even 2 hours had passed, and then Midoriya's parents' car took off straight to the airport with several suitcases that had already been packed the night before. Why? Because barely half an hour after a quick celebration, Hisashi simply opened the door to his room and in seconds pulled out 2 enormous suitcases, just like Inko. Izuku, why yes pa. He was cut off by the car's start, Izuku still happy waving his hand as a farewell while his eyes showed sadness and how they became glassy. Right on the side portico, on the pillars that divided the street from the Bakugo's front yard, 2 silhouettes were noticed, one large and one small, which had been Mitsuki and Katsuki, who were hiding, a woman holding back the urge to cry and the younger one clenching his fists while trying to contain the anger very visible through a vein that extended from his forehead into his hair. They both heard very light sobs fading away and being silenced by the closing of a door. The Bakugos were about to leave the party. Katsuki's father had barely left the house since he had been missing some things, so he didn't understand their attitude, even though he could already imagine it. Masaru, Izuku again, right? Katsuki, almost an hour ago we heard them jumping with excitement. Those bastards. Mitsuki, yes Masaru. They just left. Masaru, great. Katsuki, what the hell are you talking about? Mitsuki, what's wrong with you? Masaru's smile was noticeable on him, a look of emotion and joy did not leave his face. Masaru, so we can spend more time with Izuku. Isn't that great? You'll celebrate Izuku's admission with him. Mitsuki. Go get the boy, make him dress well because today we're going to eat, we'll see the new All Might movie that came out, and if Izuku wants, we'll go to the fair. Both were surprised, both smiled as Masaru approached Katsuki, who seemed to want to cry. From Mitsuki he heard a yes. Masaru just stroked his son's head, who jumped onto his torso in a strong hug. Katsuki, thank you. Masaru, come on son, let's celebrate your huge achievement. Then Bakugo ran straight to his mother, who was already at the door. From inside with Izuku some cries could be heard, but they were silenced at the first knock. Quickly it seemed that footsteps rushed to the door and it opened, showing a dark house with no light and a melancholic forced smile from the green-haired boy, who saw both trying to hide their recent outburst. Mitsuki was the first to hug Izuku, who despite his attempts to hold back the pain simply collapsed a little, followed by Bakugo, who also hugged him. A few seconds later they both separated. Izuku, do you need anything? Katsuki, of course, nerd. Grab your best clothes and let's get out of here. Mitsuki, yes. Let's celebrate your admission to UA, okay, dear? Izuku, thank you. Thank you so much. He barely had time and ran to his room to change, and minutes later Izuku came out dressed in an All Might t-shirt as well as a cap and black pants along with his characteristic sneakers, thus accompanying the Bakugo family, who helped him distract himself, and what's more, when night came they gave him lodging in their house where he slept in Katsuki's room, or well, they had stayed playing video games until the next morning where Izuku went out and got dressed like Bakugo, so both shoulder to shoulder they walked to their new school and start their dream. It's been 3 days since they started at UA. Both Bakugo and Izuku made friends very quickly, and luckily the three managed to be in the same class, with Izuku being in physical aptitudes. It was completely easy on the first day to win the number 1 spot in physics class, but seeing how a certain transparent girl was on a bad streak, she used to slow down a lot, causing it to go up a few places, like when she took away her strength meter and used it so she could get a good score, even though for a certain bicolor it seemed annoying, although it wasn't something very alarming to him. Until that day. Again. 6 a.m., the beginning of a new day, both student and work. Izuku followed his daily routine. He got up, had breakfast of bread with coffee, something very humble but at least it silenced his hunger. He showered, brushed his teeth and finally got dressed one more day to go to his new school, which already gave him many surprises, and especially today since that day class 1A had an excursion. Izuku, well, where do you think we're going? Tsuyu, maybe to one of those fake cities to train. Bakugo, with robots? I want to blow them up already. Kirishima, well, I actually like the robots thing. Aizawa, I don't think so. And we're already there, so get off. Izuku, honestly, I could have come running. I mean to warm up. Bakugo, only you can think of it. To be honest, even if you don't like it, I envy your strength and resilience. Izuku, please. It's what I hate the most. Tsuyu, even if it's something bad. You know what? You have your advantages, Midoriya. Bakugo, yes. How come with your condition your other condition is also good? Izuku, Kachan. Tsuyu, tell him something. Tsuyu, even if he's right, you shouldn't do that, cats. Mina, what are you talking about? Condition? Are Midoriya sick? Izuku, well, I. Kachan, calm down. Midoriya is just someone in good physical condition and he's a little crazy trying to maintain that, you understand? He's a perfectionist. Tsuyu, I'll go ahead. The green-haired girl went ahead, since for her it would be something very bad in a certain way, since for her it was impossible to lie and say something as delicate as Izuku's lack of gift and his restrictions would make her look bad, so she stood next to Aizawa, who was heading to the entrance, followed by everyone in the class and finally the duo of friends. Aizawa, okay. Today's practice will be rescue exercises, so prepare yourselves because we'll be working where you're least likely to be able to move in one of these disasters. When opening the huge door you could see different events happening, from fires, landslides and a huge lake that seemed to have a boat in the middle. Uraka, it's huge. Momo, it's functional. Mina, it's amazing. Aizawa, it's the USJ. Yes. The USJ is designed for crisis simulations and natural disasters. Aizawa, and today, her class will be taken by 13. She is the Izuku, the 13th rescue hero. Her quirk is based on creating black holes that devour everything they come into contact with. It's incredible. Aizawa, yes. Number 13, well, I think you know me well, so you know that many of the gifts that most people develop at this time are very dangerous. Gifts that can be deadly just by activating them, so you have to destroy everything. From the center of the USJ a sinister and fun-filled voice shouted towards the heroes, interrupting the heroine's speech. Toru, wow. They even have villains. They thought of everything. Aizawa, no, they are not. Everyone to the exit, number 13, protect them. As soon as Aizawa finished, he jumped directly against the villains who were going to shoot him. Most of them didn't know what was happening because their gifts weren't working, revealing the heroic identity of the IA class teacher. Bakugo, he is. Izuku, eraser, head. Denki, eraser what? Izuku, the eraser hero. Eraser head. Unlike All Might hates being known by the media, so he is only in the mandatory heroism interviews by the National Hero Agency. They are like interviews. Bakugo, his gift erases the gifts of anyone unless they are mutant type. Or already born, like Toru's for example. Wow, looks like we have two fans here. A huge shadow appeared behind the entire class. Most of them were scared, but both Bakugo and Izuku were on guard, as well as a certain redhead. Bakugo, the only idiot geek here is Deku. Izuku, hey. It's not the time. The huge shadow spread around everyone. Bakugo launched a powerful explosion that was avoided by the real body of the shadow and swallowed him along with the redhead, who threw himself next to him to hit him. Moments later he surrounded the entire class, sending them through portals far away, dividing everyone. Izuku originally fell where Shoto was supposed to fall, while Shoto fell next to Tsuyu and Mineta. It was easy to get out of that mess thanks to Shito's powerful gift. While Izuku remained in a fight against 6 of the villains, his superhuman strength managed to break the metal of one of the plates that covered one of the villains, sending him against another. It wasn't long until he was free of villains, but still with a cut on the chest given by a villain who had metal claws. Izuku, damn, I have to go help. Izuku managed to reach the center in just a few minutes. Managing to see how Aizawa was still in a fight against several of the villains, Izuku began his journey from jump to jump until he arrived against one of the villains who was going to get behind Aizawa to attack him. A stop in the jaw sent him far away, startling the black-haired man. Aizawa, Midoriya. What are you doing? I ordered you to stay with everyone. Izuku, sensei. A villain separated us, the only thing I could do. With a slap, Izuku was thrown against the lake that was frozen, falling a few meters from Tsuyu unconscious. The strength of that beast with a bird face was incredibly absurd. Aizawa tried to erase his gift, but even so the strength and speed of the monster was overwhelming. He had no chance, and if he connected a blow it would not affect him at all. Aizawa was being massacred, and with the cooperation of that Peligris his arm began to decompose gradually. By the time Todoroki went to his sensei and threw his ice imprisoning the Nomu Tamara, it entered the frog girl and the little purple-haired boy. Thanks to the portal of that villains, it did not take long to appear in front and touch Tsuyu's face. Izuku had barely woken up, and despite the pain in his head he launched himself towards them. Unfortunately his fingers had already connected, but nothing. Shigaraki. The teacher. In the distance, a gaunt Aizawa was seen looking up at Shigaraki, thus preventing him from hurting his student. Aizawa, I don't mind dying if I have to protect them. Shigaraki separated, annoyed, turning towards the Nomu that was constantly being covered by ice pillars that Shoto did not stop throwing, since he was getting rid of them more and more. Shigaraki, stop playing. Finish. That Nomu didn't take long to break all the ice in one hit. Smoke came out of his body, and in a single instant he took Aizawa's head and smashed him, leaving him knocked out. While with Todoroki he was about to throw a punch, but he disappeared and a loud bang sounded throughout the place. Izuku was finally able to get up and had directed a punch at Shigaraki with all his might, but the blow never connected with him. The Nomu's hand blocked its impact, receiving it without problems, but at least that scared Shigaraki, making him retreat. Izuku, Bakugo wouldn't forgive me if he lost you. Don't you think so, Asui? Now get lost, take Professor Shoto, tell everyone who already made it to escape, I'll give them all the time they need. Tsuyu, Izuku. Can you? Izuku, I promise you all will return home safely. Go now. The girl, both surprised and distressed, took the dwarf and went with her teacher. The Nomu turned around to avoid him, but in an instant, Izuku was already in front of him, stopping his attempt to follow them and launching a powerful right punch that was easily absorbed. Izuku, wow. This is going to be difficult. Shigaraki, Nomu. Kill them. Kill that meddler. The monster's attention was directed exclusively to Izuku, who barely managed to dodge the Nomu's blow. He knew perfectly well that he couldn't compare to the villain, but still, did it matter? Of course not. He made a promise and he was going to keep it. Izuku kept up the cat and mouse game for as long as his body allowed him to withstand several blows from the Nomu. He was powerful and every blow he received felt like his bones would break at some point, but even so, he didn't stop throwing punches and blows to very sensitive points that, despite not doing potential damage to the Nomu, he did manage to hold it back for a few seconds, instantly curing any inflammation in a nerve. It seemed that Izuku had the nerves and joints of the human anatomy very well located, but would it be useful in the long term? While with the other students the majority had arrived, thanks to the support of Uraka and an almost sacrifice of number 13, Tenga had escaped and went directly to some teacher. This due to the distance would take a few minutes that Izuku felt like centuries to dodge and counterattack, stopping the advance of the Nomu. Thanks to the fact that he was more focused on it, it took him to the different places of disasters, thus burying him between burning buildings when hitting the pillars of these, but even so the burns he had did not affect him, or rather he recovered as if nothing had happened. Uraka, missing Deku. Bakugo and Kirishima are also missing. Tsuyu, I don't know where Bakugo is. But Izuku. Izuku is fighting. Number 13, what? What do you mean, this P.A.? The heroine's sudden movement made her arm start to hurt, being attended to by Momo, who was worried. Was Izuku fighting the thing that left Aizawa like that? Even Shoto was motionless. The cold he used on his left side was too much to be able to move quickly. Even in such an unfortunate situation, he didn't even want to use his right side, and even if he tried, he would know that it would hinder Izuku. While Izuku was seen running in the distance, Shoto just watched them. Shoto, shit. Aizawa, Shoto. The eraser hero was barely semi-conscious. He didn't have everything clear, but because of the proximity he heard the conversation between Tsuyu and number 13, he knew that someone was going to jump to help, but it would be in vain. Shoto, sensei? Aizawa, Shoto. D, don't go. M, Midoriya is G giving us time. P, prepare yourselves, all of you who have gifts capable of harming. Kirishima. Sato. Bakugo. Ojiro. Shoji. Tokoyami. And you, Shoto, are the only ones who can. Hold on for a few seconds together, maybe you can stop his advance if Midoriya dies. Momo, M, die? Is he willing to let them kill him? Aizawa, Yaoyorozu. Midoriya is the only one who can. Who can dodge or withstand his blows. Did you see what he did to me? I can't move or use my quirk, he treats me like a toy. If now someone goes and falls with Midoriya, the last hope of everyone being saved will become weaker. You understand, right? Momo returned to see the center where the Nomu had returned Izuku to the water source with a blow, destroying it, causing him to end up badly injured on the ground. And most knew what was going to happen. Many closed their eyes so as not to see what they thought, but Momo, Midoriya. We're sorry. Mina, Midoriya. Please don't die. The girl's scream surprised everyone. She had stood on the edge while shouting words of encouragement to the green-haired boy, who looked at the girl in surprise. Sato, you're the strongest of all. Even eating pounds of sugar couldn't match your strength. The strongest can't fall like that. Uraka, Deku. Please get up. Forgive me for asking you to save me again like in the test. You're the only one WHO can take care of us. Toru, I never got to thank you. You helped me through the physical tests so I wouldn't be expelled, and even though IT wasn't real, you didn't hesitate to help me. Mineta, despite my perverted attitude, you never treated me badly. I know I deserve the insults and the treatment because of my attitude, but no one has ever smiled at me so kindly, even if I said perverted things to them. I don't want you to go, Midoriya. Despite the short time, most of the class had felt the kindness and affection that the green-haired boy gave them in such small acts as a greeting when they sneezed or carrying their notebooks when they weighed. It had only been 3 days and most of the class felt the kindness that the boy always emanated when entering a place or simply when he spoke, and above all the sacrifice he was now making by enduring a villain. Why protect people you don't even know? It was simple, because that was the essence of a hero. Shigaraki, those idiots. They're shouting nonsense. Nomu kills his dear friend. From one of the places in the forest a certain young man came out along with a redhead, both exhausted and hurt from the hard fight they had given to a villain. Bakugo, Deku. Don't you dare lose. Remember that I must beat you. And if you give up I'll burn all your things. All, Midoriya. Izuku had gotten out of the trance he was in to the shouts of encouragement from his friends. He did everything possible to stand up even though his body hurt a lot. He stood on guard before the Nomu, who showed no expression on his face. He simply lunged with a terrifying scream. Izuku did it too, but he dropped to the ground, sliding, avoiding the blow and staying for a few seconds under it. Time that did not pass without Izuku giving a double kick to his testicles, leaving the Nomu still. It did not take more than a few moments for him to try to hit him again. His regeneration had acted a little, but for Izuku it was important to finish him off and not run away. He began to throw punches at the Nomu's face. Several blows also damaged him, but his conviction did not allow him to fall. He cannot give up because of the hope that rests on his shoulders. Each blow seemed to dig deeper into the Nomu's skin. The regeneration took longer and longer, but it was still not enough with the enormous resistance of this one more no that does not matter. Shigaraki, you can't win. Why are you getting up? Izuku, no. I don't plan on winning. My role in this fight is to buy them time. To give them all the time I can. Me dying now would be the least of it. The freckled boy's luck didn't last long. The Nomu held him by one foot and slammed him from side to side against the ground, and treated him like a rag. In his last stamp the Nomu lifted his foot, crushing him with a stomp. Izuku's scream was not long in coming, pure agony, but even so the arm that remained clung to the Nomu's leg where threads of blood came out since the boy's nails were dug in, blood that stopped when it regenerated. Izuku, in order for me to stop fighting you must kill me, damn you. Shigaraki, that can be fixed. The door of the USJ flew open with a bang. That huge and muscular figure showed itself before everyone. The big smile he used to have no longer existed. It was replaced by a look of anger and frustration. All Might, I'm here now. Shigaraki, Yes, it's All Might. Nice to see you. All Might, villains. They will pay dearly. Both for the collateral damage and the damage received by the teacher and his students. At those words, All Might wasted no time and in a matter of seconds was already in front of the Nomu, landing a punch in his jaw that dislocated it and made him retreat, thus giving him the opportunity to charge at Midoriya, who screamed in pain at being touched. All Might, sorry kid. Sorry I didn't make it on time. Izuku, All Might. I did it. I held out long enough for you to protect them. Please. Don't let them hurt you. All Might, of course, young Midoriya. You're the hero here. Even when you're emaciated, you care about them. Anyone would ask for help from themselves. Every day you give me more reasons to think so, Midoriya. All Might lowered the boy to the base of the stairs, leaving him out of danger. Both Momo and the girls in the class went down to help Izuku with Shoji. Kirishima and Bakugo also went to help Bakugo. Uraka touched him, activating his quirk, making him lighter. Mina with her acid wet the entire carpet of the stairs. Yaoyorozu created some ropes to tie him where it hurt the least and she could pull him, while Shoji, Bakugo and Kirishima pulled on the carpet, creating a ramp where they stepped on Izuku. Give him Shadow stretched out towards Izuku and carefully pulled him by the rope, so while the symbol of peace stood up to the Nomu, the entire class did their best so that Izuku would not feel any more pain and get him out of the fight area, while All Might and the Nomu fought wildly to bring down the other. Thanks to Izuku's exhaustion, All Might was above the Nomu. Shoto froze the carpet, thus giving him a better one, slipped on Izuku and being easier to pull him. Seconds later he was already lying at the top of the stairs where he looked tired. Aizawa, M. Midoriya. Number 13, boy. Izuku, Aizawa-sensei. Number 13 sensei. Aye. Aizawa / number 13, thank you. Izuku, huh? Aizawa, you gave us the time we needed, I'm sorry for saying such mean things. Momo, both the and some. We resign ourselves to that. That thing. Tsuyu, we were just starting to understand that you were going to die. Uraka, but Mina gave us hope. Mina, we couldn't let a hero end up like that. I trusted you. Just like everyone else, and you did it. Izuku, guys. Thanks. The green-haired boy's tears began to flow. He was so happy that everyone was okay. Most of the girls rushed to hug him since they were the most sentimental. They also began to cry with relief, while Bakugo had already climbed in behind him with Kirishima. Mineta, thank you very much for helping us, Midoriya. Katsuki, Deku. How are you? Bakugo pushed most of them away, kneeling beside him as he held his hand. Izuku, I'm glad they swept the floor with you. You look horrible. Ha. Bakugo, look at you, idiot, you cleaned it up. Thanks for giving us the time. While they were talking, All Might had already finished off the Nomu. He flew out of the USJ and the villains quickly escaped, disappearing into a portal in a few moments. All Might, that was exhausting. And then the teachers entered, and curiously 2 more heroes had arrived, a blonde woman and a short brunette, who looked perplexed by the moment, an exhausted All Might, 2 teachers too much and a seriously injured student. Midnight, come on. We have to take them to Recovery Girl. What happened here? Hey boy. Girl? The brunette held the shoulder of a floating shirt which was scared, giving a squeal and turning to see. Toru, hello, okay? Could you tell us what happened? Toru, well, villains attacked us. They beat the teachers really badly. And that brat? Uraka, well. Some girls had joined the invisible girl as she seemed somewhat affected by both the still palpable fear and a noticeable sadness. Momo, he saved us. Saved them? Momo, well. There was a very strong villain, even All Might had a hard time finishing him off. There's a reason he's so exhausted, that monster. He was going to kill us but. The memories of Izuku being beaten to a pulp made her look away. Katsuki, he faced him, that's right. Izuku Midoriya gave his all to save us. There were still more than 10 minutes until All Might arrived, and in those 10 minutes, Izuku gave his life for all of us. That's what happened. He protected us with his life. The ashen-haired boy, with his annoying and serious attitude, emphasized to everyone, even raising his voice so that all the teachers could hear him. He then walked away, following the mechanical stretchers that were taking Izuku away. Midnight, All Might. All Might, it's true, when I arrived I was being crushed by that villain. It was seen that they had a fight since the traces of destruction extend throughout all the disaster areas. And neither Aizawa nor 13 are capable of having a journey like that. Nezu, wow. That's amazing. I'm glad two of the top heroines managed to see how promising this year's students are. So you're agreeing to work together with us? Was the camp alone? Nezu, yes, that's right. I gladly accepted. Whatever. It's fine. Nezu, then we're counting on you. Mirko, Ryukyu.